What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I had posted on Twitter earlier to get some video suggestions, and I'm going to combine two of the suggestions that I got into one video because they're sort of similar. So one suggestion or topic idea was kind of like my thoughts on the future of the DC Cinematic Universe now that Justice League is out, and reactions and stuff, and kind of all over the place. And then the other suggestion was about whether I think we'll see an Injustice movie, and oh, another one was a Marvel based, so I'll just do the DC one for this video since they're more similar to the other suggestion. But anyway, I think from here on out, I mean, they have a lot of movies slated for the DC Cinematic Universe because they've revealed a pretty large slate at the Comic-Cons this year. And of course, we know we have Aquaman coming up next year, a little over a year from now. And so that will be the next movie that we get. And then, of course, we know that the year after that, 2019, we have Shazam and Wonder Woman 2. So, and we don't know if there's going to be another movie yet released in 2019. It would be nice if we got the Flashpoint movie in 2019. They've still kept that on the slate for movies that they revealed at Comic-Con, so I don't see that one. I would be surprised if that one gets pushed back again. So hopefully not. I mean, recent reports before Justice League came out were saying that they're closing in on a director for the Flashpoint movie, so hopefully that's true. And hopefully now that Justice League is out, we'll be getting more announcements and news about upcoming movies, so that way we can kind of know a little bit more what's going on, since Flashpoint has been pushed back a couple times. And I mean, there's some stuff that we do know more about, such as the Shazam movie. You know, since they revealed cast members and stuff like that, we're getting more information on that movie and have a release date and all that good stuff. And Wonder Woman's release date was actually moved up, so they wouldn't have to compete as much with the Star Wars movie coming out at that time. So, I mean, I always say this in my video, things are happening, we just don't always know about them until later on, you know. And so, I mean, a lot of people have been thinking that the DC Cinematic Universe is in trouble or in jeopardy because Justice League didn't open to as much money as we all expected it to. And so people are thinking that Warner Brothers is going to like cancel the DCEU and all the DC movies moving forward, which is pretty dramatic in my opinion. I mean, they have invested a lot of money into these movies already, even the ones that are not out yet, because of course movies are years in the making before we actually see trailers or before we see anything to do with them. So movies, you know, sometimes people forget that there's so much going on that we don't know about years before they're even released. And of course, Aquaman is finished shooting, and they've already put a lot of money into that movie. They're not going to cancel it and lose all that money. That's ridiculous to even think that. And people were saying this kind of stuff like pretty much a day after Justice League came out, 2 days after. I mean, people were already saying that, oh, the DCU is going to be canceled and blah, blah, blah. No, that's a little ridiculous. They have too much money riding on these movies, and I mean, it'll be unfortunate if they take a loss with Justice League, but you know, I already discussed that whole issue in my last video, so check out that if you want to see more about people petitioning for Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League and all that. But so we know we have all these solo movies coming up, you know, Batgirl's in the works. I don't know, I think people are having even more negative feelings about Joss Whedon doing Batgirl now that Justice League came out and there was a bunch of changes made to it. And so, but I'd be surprised if he gets kicked off of Batgirl for that reason. I don't know, that's up to the studio. But Of course, Nightwing, Chris McKay, the director, is, tweeting pretty often about the movie, talking about open casting calls recently, which he said there would be for that movie. And so, we know eventually we're going to see a Black Adam movie. A lot of movies. We're supposed to get a Green Lantern Corps movie eventually, which was also been included on the slates at the Comic-Cons this year. What movie we have not seen on any of the slates this year was another Superman solo movie, a Man of Steel sequel. Well, BVS was kind of a sequel to that, but I mean, as far as a solo movie for Superman, which I wasn't surprised at because, like I have said before, I'm sure they wanted to release Justice League first before giving us any details about his next solo movie, since, Justice League was his return and stuff from BVS. But I'm hoping that now Justice League is out and, more and more people are getting a chance to see it. Hopefully in the near future we'll get some detail about the next Superman solo movie, director, projected release, like at least the year, something. I'm hoping. And so I guess people will have some mixed feelings about that as well, depending on how they felt about his portrayal in Justice League. But hopefully we'll get some kind of news about it in the near future. So there's just a lot of solo movies coming up over the next couple of years. So it's going to be a while before we see another team-up movie. Probably, I guess the next team-up movie we'll see is Suicide Squad 2. Which, I don't know, based on the first one, I don't know how excited I'm going to be about that one. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. So, I don't know. Of course, I made a video about a rumor that Black Adam will be in that movie. Not necessarily the villain, but that he might make his DCEU entrance in that movie somehow. I'd be surprised if he ends up being the villain, because I don't think the Suicide Squad would be able to do anything against him. So I think that they'd be tracking him down for a different reason, but I don't know. We don't even know if he's going to be in the movie for sure yet. So anyway, obviously, what's his name? J.K. Simmons mentioned sometime before Justice League came out that they're working on the script for Justice League 2 and the Batman movie. So, but obviously, the next Justice League movie is probably going to be sometime down the road, which is fine. They're going to have a lot of solo movies coming out over the next couple of years, so, they can't make all of these movies all at once, of course. And the Batman movie, there's always something new coming out about if Ben Affleck's going to be, one day he is going to be the Batman, the next day he's not going to. I mean, it goes back and forth. There's been so many rumors since BVS came out, pretty much, that he is, he isn't, he is, he isn't. And so we won't really know until we get official details about it. Recently there were some rumors about Jake Gyllenhaal talking to Matt Reeves, the director, and I'm hoping that if they did talk, it wasn't about actually being Batman. It could be for a different role in the movie, which, if it's true that they spoke or have had conversations, I hope that it's for a different role. Honestly, it's going to be very difficult for me to want to watch a Batman movie, a DCEU Batman movie, if he gets recast. I mean, it's just going to be hard for... Ben Affleck is my Batman now, and I mean, it would be hard for me to have another Bruce Wayne in this universe. Yes, there's been like 1,000 Batman movies and 1,000 Batman actors over the years, but they were never part of a shared universe like we have now. And it's just different, like, I don't want him to be recast and someone else supposed to be portraying this same Bruce Wayne, this same Batman with a different actor. I hope that doesn't happen. And if they don't get to do a Batman trilogy, that's fine. Just do at least a Batman solo movie with Ben Affleck. And then if he was out after that, then oh well. But I want him to be the Batman in the Batman movie, Ben Affleck, like, very badly. But we are going to get that movie, apparently, so we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, just a lot of solo movies. As far as the Injustice thing, And by injustice, I mean like Injustice Gods Among Us, not the Injustice League. Well, I can address that too, but as far as Injustice universe, where, you know, Superman was tricked into killing Lois Lane and their unborn child, and then he's like sort of rogue after that. He's not necessarily evil, he just like doesn't have a problem killing. And, you know, there's certain Justice League members on his side, and then the rest, you know, Batman and Wonder Woman, they're kind of trying to stop him. No, whole story. Personally, I think it would be awesome if we had a movie like that in the DC Cinematic Universe. We kind of got a little glimpse of that in the BVS Nightmare sequence. And so, I mean, I think it would be awesome to have a movie like that. It would just be crazy to see that in a movie, a live-action movie. I think Henry Cavill would do a great job doing Injustice Superman. But I highly doubt that they would do anything like that. I mean, if we see something like that, I think it might be included like in the Flashpoint movie or played with in that movie. I don't know, I could be totally wrong. I don't think that they would do a whole Injustice movie because people already freaked out about how dark BVS was. And so, and people were, you know, a lot of people were confused as to why Superman was the way he was in that nightmare sequence. And so, I would be very surprised if they do a movie like that because people would freak out. Especially the Injustice storyline is not familiar to a lot of people. To DC fans it is, but to a general audience, I think it would be very difficult to explain all that. I mean, they could obviously show what happens in the movie that makes Superman that way, but I think people would have a really hard time seeing him in a movie like that. Especially now that he was more lighthearted and optimistic and stuff in Justice League. So, as much as a lot of us DC fans would love to see it, I really don't think it would happen, like I said, unless it has something to do with an alternate timeline in Flashpoint or something like that. Something that could obviously be reversed, but yeah, I don't think they would take that big of a risk after the backlash that BVS got and stuff. As far as the Injustice League, like with Deathstroke, Lex, you know, like all the main villains for the Justice League members, we got, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Justice League yet, the second credit scene teased us with that, with Deathstroke going to see Lex that has escaped from Arkham. He goes to visit him, he goes to see him on his yacht, and Lex says, like, shouldn't we have a league of our own? And that was why he had Deathstroke show up there. So we got teased with that at the end of Justice League, well, in the credit scene. And so I guess, you know, maybe that will be the next Justice League movie. You know, I don't think that they would put that in there for no reason. And we know that Deathstroke is getting his own movie. And so he has been officially introduced to this universe. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that, which would be pretty cool to see the Justice League take on, like, their nemesis in a movie would be pretty cool. As far as Darkseid, they did put Justice League Dark on the slate at San Diego Comic-Con, but it was not on the slate at New York Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, baby. So, when they announced Justice League Dark, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, like, oh, that's all the magical characters, like Zatanna and stuff like that, Raven, all these magical characters, but I just thought Darkseid. I know that Justice League Dark is those magical characters in the comics and stuff, but I just would be surprised if they introduce that many new characters in a second Justice League movie. They could. I could be totally wrong. My first thought was Darkseid and that he's going to be the villain and stuff like that. Which some people might think that's too fast to have Darkseid as the Justice League villain, so I understand that's a valid argument also. But, I don't know. what the next Justice League movie is going to be. We'll just have to wait and see. And it might not even be Justice League 2. It might just be a Justice League movie that they do for Justice League Dark. I don't know. We'll have to see when we get more details about that sometime in the future. But I think it could be either one. But like I said, that's quite a few new characters to introduce to the cinematic universe. Like characters that are not main characters for the Justice League. So, but like I said, I could be totally wrong. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I definitely don't think that they're not going to cancel all these movies for sure. But as far as them being in trouble, I think they might be as far as with their fan base, because they're obviously trying to cater more to critics right now, and it's sort of backfiring. So I don't know. I think if WB doesn't back off a little bit and give these directors more creative liberties, more creative freedom to do their movies how they see it, you know, in their vision for the movies, then they're going to be in trouble with their fan base, and they definitely don't want to lose their fan base, because that's who's giving them that's who's making the money for them, you know. Critics are not making their money for them. So I understand they want to please the critics, but they also need to keep in mind who is supporting these movies the most. And, you know, when it comes to these comic book movies, people have certain expectations for what they want to see. And, you know, Jeff Johns, being the DC Films president, he needs to also remember that and, you know, kind of fight for his directors a little bit more. They need to have creative control. They're not going to have 100% control, I understand that, but, you know, there's no reason for Warner Brothers, high up Warner Brothers people, to be meddling in these movies and chopping them up. And I already went into that in my last video, but, you know, as far as talking about the future movies, they need to stop doing that. And so hopefully they've learned after this not to do that anymore, because you're going to disappoint the people who are looking most forward to these movies and waiting years for them to come out. So
Where's Kenny?
I don't have to find it, baby. So nevertheless, I'm still looking forward to the future DC Cinematic Universe movies. I'm just hoping that Warner Brothers learns that chopping up these movies and trying to change a lot about them is not a good thing. So, you know, they're going to turn people off from their movies if they keep doing stuff like that. So I hope that they realize what they're doing. And that's my thoughts on the future DCEU. If you know, leave your thoughts in the comments and tell me what you guys think about that. Are you still looking forward to the future DC movies? Are you kind of turned off now? Let me know. What movie are you looking most forward to coming up in the future? I'm gonna say Flashpoint, and really looking forward to Aquaman. So, and hoping, like I said, to hear something about the next Superman movie. But that's my thoughts on it. So check out the links in the description, guys. My Twitter, my Patreon, my Sloppy Spoilers podcast, latest episode. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.